All right, good evening. We're going to start the July the 18th commission meeting. We'll have the invocation by Commissioner Hart, Pledge of Allegiance by Commissioner Wilson. Please stand.
Heavenly Father, we thank you through your grace and your mercy. You've allowed us to come together and to conduct the city's business. Lord, we pray for your divine touch over each and every member of our council. We pray that you will bless our first responders, our police and fire men who are out protecting us. Watch over them as they watch over us, Lord. And we pray special protection for all of our citizens serving in the armed forces, whether abroad or near. Keep them safe and keep them covered under your wings. We so carefully give you the praise, the honor, and the glory you do. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Commissioner Kennedy?
Here.
Commissioner Wilson?
Here.
Mayor Johnson?
Here.
Commissioner Furshner?
Here.
Commissioner Hart?
Here.
All right, presentations and proclamations. We have none. Staff reports.
I have nothing this evening, Mayor.
All right, we're down to the public comments. I have 2 public comment slips. And Christopher Boonamo? Yeah. Hey.
Have a step stool I can stand on? No?
We lowered them down.
There we go. Hi, everybody. My name is Chris Bonomo. I'm a resident of Westmere, and I'm here to ask the city to permanently rescind all blanket tree removal permits issued to my community pending investigation. I was motivated to speak before you tonight after learning that my HOA's legal counsel recently sent a letter demanding that these tree permits be reinstated. For the record, many Westmere residents are outraged and embarrassed by the tone of this letter and the vile actions of our board. Over the last 5 months, I have vocally challenged my HOA on their tree project. I don't believe my board ever had the authority to initiate it without a community vote, and I strongly believe their actions are in direct violation of Westmere's bylaws. Through numerous public information requests to Westmere's Property Management Company and the City of Ocoee, I believe I have documented evidence that shows my HOA intentionally misrepresented the truth to both its residents and the city. Here are some examples. They told us they made a first-of-its-kind agreement with the city with no requirement to replant. Actually, Weston Bay was the first, and the requirement to replant comes from Westmere's protective covenants, not the city. They told us the permits would allow the removal of any oak that is now or will in the future be a threat to the roads. Actually, the permit only included a fraction of Westmere's tree-belled oaks. In a February 2022 email to the city, the HOA acknowledged that not all oaks were permitted and sought guidance for approval of unpermitted trees. There's no response from the city in the public record, and unpermitted trees have since been removed. How? They told us that the city would be keeping a close eye on our program, and playing by the rules was very important. However, Westmere records show that unpermitted trees were approved for removal, and it appears that city-issued permit numbers were applied to some of the removals. Why? They told us that no board member wanted to see trees removed, and yet 5 board members removed oaks that were not included in the city permits. Some of them also had permit numbers applied to their approvals that closely matched those issued by the city. Why? They told us water pipes and oak tree roots don't mix well when our community suffered a water main break last December. Worth noting, our water main was impacted by roots from a magnolia, not an oak. What did they tell the city? Finally, after telling residents they had vacated their unpopular tree removal plan, the HOA sent a letter to the city demanding the permits be reinstated. In this letter, they attempt to malign Commissioner Furshner and claim Westmere never dictated tree removal to any of the owners. Along with the many other lies included in this letter, this is also false. At Westmere's April board meeting, the board voted to make it mandatory that all residents with tree-belled oaks remove them or schedule their removal by June 1st. In light of the information I've shared and the irregularities I've noted, I'd like to formally ask that the City of Ocoee permanently rescind all tree removal permits and fully investigate these claims. Thank you.
All right, hold on just a second. Commissioners, any of you have any comments? Or you want to wait till we get one more?
Won't you I was going to say, I have a comment only
All right.
because I've been reading all the letters that have been, the emails that have been sent to us, and I was at this point, I was hoping we could get some direction from Scott.
Well, we'll
I've
get
read
that
all-
in a
That's
minute.
why I'm saying, that's
Yeah,
why, you know, if we want
we'll
to
get
wait.
that in a minute.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I'm gonna let the other one talk.
Yes.
We'll go ahead and have the other lady come up.
Didn't we already rescind,
Huh?
didn't we already rescind those?
Well, yeah, we did, but,
Okay, thank you.
all right. Katie Serrano? Come on down. I forgot to tell you, we do a 3-minute limit on,
I know, but I'm a Yankee, I can try to talk fast.
He read a prepared statement, does she have a copy?
In fact, Mayor Johnson, 21 years ago, 1 year after 9/11, you invited me and one of my students named Tommy, fifth grader, and his parents to a commissioner meeting. So this is now 21 years later, and I think you got a promotion in that time from commissioner now to mayor,
yes,
correct?
ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. You were so impressed by Tommy's speech on what it means to be an American, especially its focus on democracy. Mr. Johnson wanted the leaders of the city to hear the powerful words of this bright, passionate 11-year-old. I plan to talk about the importance of trees. This is a complicated issue. All the following topics relate to our trees: coexistent environments with animals, the impact of wildlife, including the Federal Migratory Bird Act for our raptors, the impact of natural disasters like our heat wave, hurricanes, flooding, the impact of energy use, especially electricity, and the higher rates that we're now going to experience, as yesterday it was rated, feels like 102. And the financial responsibilities, the protection of resources, the research of the viability of trees, the impact of our daily quality of family life, the maintaining of a community initial vision for Westmere, the impact of property values, the prestigious city recognitions like Tree City USA, the impact on our society and future generations, and finally, the legacy we leave our children and future generations. But in 3 minutes, really, 3 minutes. All listed topics are equally vital. Each require the full attention and thorough discussion in any decision-making process made by the community or city. However, before any of these topics can be addressed, the first priority must be to give honor to Tommy and the hundreds of fifth grade students I had the privilege to teach American history over 30 years. Tommy was right. The main focus must be on democracy, the importance of foundational documents, and the right to vote. The 565 households in Westmere do not have a voice. It is imperative that the city of Ocoee know that the Westmere HOA is not a democracy, disregarding and obliterating decades-old covenants, withholding the right for 565 members to vote, working in huddled secrecy with the current West Board reflects an authoritarian regime. This Westmere HOA board has already succeeded to destroy hundreds of trees.
Express my gratitude to all of you.
The gorgeous, unique vision, the lush emerald green canopies covering the Westmere developers together with the city in the early 1990s, their vision is gone. Westmere's unique reputation, described in real estate ads of tree-lined streets and shady tree canopies, is gone. As the Westmere HOA president now boasts about not protecting the covenants by stating 80% of the community is in compliance of tree removal from the tree belt. This behavior is further documented in the letter you received from the Westmere HOA board on May 31st. This intimidating, disrespectful, threatening, demanding letter written by a Westmere HOA attorney does not represent our community. As a Westmere resident, I am speaking for myself. I apologize to Mayor Johnson, to Westmere community member, Commissioner Firstner, and all the commissioners. This behavior is not representative of Westmere. I am deeply sorry. The will of Westmere community has not been determined by a community vote. Without this community determination, the Westmere HOA board cannot act in a representative role to hire a tree company to engage in any discussions with or requests from the city of Ocoee, cannot hire an attorney to write letters to the city, and cannot use our ever-increasing Westmere HOA dues to cover expenses that the community has not approved. In April, Westmere HOA Board had a special meeting focusing on tree removal. Mayor Johnson and Commissioner Furstner were in attendance. Tree and road specialists were on a panel. The large, strong, passionate crowd wanted answers like, why are half the trees cut down from the Westmere Parkway canopy without problem trees being identified by any arbiters with marking with either red paint or ribbons? The tree company foreman said the directive from the HOA was to cut down every other tree. As with all questions, answers were never provided by the HOA. Our concerns fell on deaf ears. With no answers or accountability on the part of the HOA, tensions ran high. However, brainstorming viable solutions were provided by some panelists. At this critical moment, Mayor Johnson, with his mic in hand, came up with the perfect idea for the next step. Mayor Johnson suggested that the Westmere residents, the Westmere HOA, and the city of Ocoee get together to problem solve by researching and discussing and incorporating the best solutions. All parties agreed to this plan. Mayor Johnson, Commissioner Fishner, and residents were very hopeful all parties would act in good faith. For a month, all was quiet. I hope that I would never hear again the loud blasting buzzing of chainsaws directly behind my house at 7:30 in the morning. Hopefully, the abrupt, heartbreaking destruction of hundreds of trees in Westmere would stop. We were all blindsided. Just like the city, when news came of the letter the Westmere HOA attorney wrote to the city, in an instant, like you, we realized that the Westmere HOA would not act in good faith. All trust with the Westmere HOA is broken. Their mission was clear. At the last HOA meeting, I attempted again to be heard. I requested a community-wide vote on the tree removal issue. At the last HOA meeting, as the HOA board did publicize well a rental issue vote that they obviously supported at the same time. I cited that for decades, Westmere HOA boards always held community-wide votes on important community impactful issues. Unfortunately, the response I received from the Westmere HOA board president confirmed my worst fears. In a threatening manner, just as you received in that letter, the HOA president cautioned me. He said, "You better be careful what you ask for. If we have a community vote and you lose, you will lose your trees in the front of your house." Silently, to myself, I translated that to mean I just better keep quiet and let the HOA board carry on railroading its own agenda. The current HOA board broke a sacred promise to Westmere Foundation of Democracy Covenants and our right to vote. Although at the same time, the Westmere conducted that community vote for rental properties. Why not vote on trees? 30 plus years ago, your predecessors who sat in these same chairs, well, maybe your chair's a little newer now with the new building, the city of Ocoee gave building approval to the Westmere developers on the condition that strict criteria that each household must have 2 trees planted in the tree belt. This was so imperative that it was written into the covenants of Westmere, which each home purchaser had to agree and sign as a promise to maintain 2 trees in the tree belt. For decades, for 33 decades, this was done. And maintain does not mean to destroy. In fact, through the decades, prior Westmere boards wrote letters to individual residents advising of legal action to residents who failed to maintain 2 trees in the tree belt. Even if these trees were lost due to a hurricane, they had to be replaced. This HOA board obliterates this foundational covenant they made with the city. They encouraged and intimidated residents, mentioned at meetings. They often mention at meetings that these trees must be cut down. The HOA board enlisted a tree service company who sponsored special cost-saving deals for residents who agreed to have their trees cut down. In honor of my student Tommy and all of my students, I invite the 2023 City of Ocoee Commission to join in the protection of the foundational documents written by the developer and their predecessors from 1990s to protect the vision and quality of life for all Westmere residents. Most of all, I invite the City of Ocoee to stand up for the right of their citizens to vote. Everyone's voice must be heard. A handful of people have no right to dictate and take control over what we have spent our lifetimes earning, our Westmere home. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. I will say, that was a little longer than 3 minutes, but that's okay. I know. Somebody raise their hand that's not speaking tonight. Who's not speaking tonight? Raise your hand. We're gonna let you have their time, so that was good. That way we won't get in trouble. Okay, all right, so I got one more. Ms. Camille Riff. Yeah. You just cause you showed up late don't mean you're getting out of it.
You're right. So, since I showed up late, am I supposed to say my name
You
and my
can.
address?
Yes, ma'am. We got a little
Okay.
record.
Okay. I'm Camille Rife. I live at 237 Laurenburg Lane. Unlike my wonderful neighbors, I do not have a speech prepared, and I have spoken to several staff members of City of Ocoee. I also want to point out, not that this is all that important, but the angle that I'm coming from, I am a previous city planner with the City of Orlando. I also sat on the City of Ocoee Planning Board, and I was the planning director for the town of Oakland. So I know a little bit about planning. Enough to know that you guys have no jurisdiction on what a HOA does, in terms of how they treat their residents and whatnot. So I really want to stay away from that. What I want to do is focus on how we got here. And that really, to me, leans on the city very heavily. And so when I first found out about the tree thing, I was like, how could the city approve hundreds of trees to be removed without a master plan amendment, without a site plan amendment, without a PD amendment, something? This is a major change to our master plan. And indeed, we have a master plan. When I brought this up to staff, I was told that they couldn't find it, that they couldn't find our site plan. Now, I have another issue with that. So before any permits are issued, we should be pulling site plans, and to this magnitude, you should also be pulling city council minutes, okay? Because I know that 30 years down the road, all these developments that you guys have spent hours and hours and hours of time on, you would like that same respect, that the people that are, wanting to make changes to things you guys have approved, 30 years down the road, you're hoping that they come back and respect the decisions and the review that you guys have done. Same thing goes. This was a master plan approved by the city council. There's minutes to it somewhere. I've asked for them, haven't gotten them. I've also asked for the site plan, haven't gotten it. Asked for the master plan, haven't gotten it. But all these things should be right at their fingers. If there's a major change, and this is just general, and if for some reason, which I've also been told, that, well, the land development code just really doesn't address this. Okay, then we need to start looking at land development code amendments, right? We need to figure out how this can be addressed before you issue permits for hundreds of trees that are 45 plus years old. This is insane. Now, I checked with the city to the east and the city to the west, and just to make sure that I haven't been in planning for 19 years, so I've been raising my kids at home, but just to make sure that I wasn't off base. And so I did check with Orlando and with Winter Garden, and indeed, first of all, they said that would be a hard no. Hundreds of trees down, that would be a hard no. And I did give them all the facts, because I do try to take, while it is my home, I do try to take some emotion out of it, because at the end of the day, we just want to be doing what's right. You guys shouldn't be worried about a homeowners association. Well, the only thing City of Ocoee has to do is look, is this allowed? And it's not. It's not permitted. If you want to take down a tree, you have to prove why that tree needs to come down. you have to do, if for this magnitude, you need to do site plan amendments. So my point is like, I feel like we've just gone off this way with the HOA, and really it's not an HOA issue, I think. I think it all originated with the permitting, and it should have never been permitted. There isn't nobody that's been able to tell me otherwise. And I haven't seen city council documents, and I know you guys haven't. So how do you even vote on something? You don't even know what the city council approved. And so that's kind of where I'm at with it. And I'd like you guys to try to think about that, because you're gonna have, and I love my neighbors, they're very upset. But at the end of the day, this is black and white. It really is. It is this allowed? And again, another point I would make is they said, when I was talking to a staff member, he said, well, there was precedent set in Weston Bay. A, I don't even know where Weston Bay is. B, I don't care about Weston Bay. And C, Weston Bay is nothing like Westmere. There's no way. I mean, I don't think so. I think it's not even near as old as Westmere. But either way, there's no precedent. One time or one neighborhood that was allowed to rip out all their trees by the city council does not make a precedent. That was just a decision that, well, I think is personally not a very good one, but whatever. Here's the thing. It doesn't necessarily constitute a precedent. So I would like you guys to look at the codes, look at what you're bound by, and make the decisions based on that. So that's it. Thank you for listening.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I'm glad you had somebody else raise their hand. You went over too. That's all right. We're fair. All right. I need, before we get started, I want Mike, is Mike Rumor in the back? City planner, is he here? Usually he's around somewhere. Mike, Rob.
Yeah,
Is Rob?
he's coming.
All right, Mike. You're welcome to the party. Just stand right there. All right. I'm gonna let the city attorney, unless some of you want to answer some of this, but I'm gonna let the city attorney address it.
Yeah, so first, I think there's really two issues. The issuance of the permit, that's not a city commission action. Those are done, tree removal permits are issued by staff at looking all of the facts and the criteria in the code, and the city staff determined that it was appropriate to remove the trees and issued the permits. At the prior city commission meeting, I think with all the good intention, the city commission asked to rescind the issuance of that permit or to put it on hold so that the residents and the HOA could get together and work out something. It appears that has not happened, unfortunately. It was mentioned a couple of times that this is, and I agree 100%, this is really an issue between the HOA and the residents. This is not a city issue, other than the issuance of the permits, which Mike can speak to as to the right or wrong on issuing those permits. The dispute between the residents and the HOA is a civil matter. That's between them. They need to work it out. We took a unique step in pausing the issuance of the permit to allow the parties to work it out. That hasn't happened. We need to do something. We need to take some action to either bring the parties together again to resolve this, or to issue the permit and let the residents through legal means stop the tree removal of the permit. But those are the two issues. I think one, the city commission doesn't issue tree removal permits. Those are done on a staff level. And then two, the dispute is truly just a dispute between residents and doesn't involve the city to the extent that we have any authority to dictate what the HOA does with respect to trees that a permit has been issued for.
All right. So, commissioners, you know.
Mike, could you speak to the claim that the city is unable to find the planning documents in the PUD for Westmere? Do you have any knowledge of that?
Under the public records request we have, the request for submittal of plans, the landscape plan for the subdivision has been provided. It is a landscape plan that includes the entrances to the subdivision only.
So the trees on the residential lots aren't part of there was a PUD originally?
That's not what the issue is. It's the trees located within the private right-of-way between the sidewalk and the pavement, not on the residential lots.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
All right. Commissioner Wilson, do you have anything? You
Still
listening?
thinking. I'm
Commissioner
saying
Kirshner?
No, I have no comments.
All right, Commissioner Hart?
Yeah, I appreciate all the letters from our citizens. I can feel your passion and your concern. And trees are part of your house, part of your family, part of your community. It's a beautiful neighborhood. I've lived here 30 years and I've watched it grow and develop. And it's really, my main worry or concern is the tension that's coming from this issue will continue and it could tear the neighborhood apart. And above all, I want the neighborhood to still be neighborly. So, I don't know if it's possible, but I think there needs to be a pause until it's resolved, because if it keeps going the way it's going to rip apart, and a beautiful neighborhood, a beautiful part of our beautiful city will be destroyed. And I don't want to see that happen. I know sometimes in conflicts you get to the point where you're at annihilation, where you're determined to win at all costs, and then what's right gets thrown out of the window. So I think we need to pause. These trees took 30 years to grow. Whether it takes 2 months, 3 months, or 4 months to resolve this, I don't think it's going to destroy the community if a tree stays a little bit longer. So just speaking from a personal point of view, I would like to see it pause until we can get a resolution that all hearts and minds are clear. You may not get 90%, you may not get 95%, but at least be heard. This country was founded by people who weren't heard. They got mad and started a Tea Party. So I want to try to see that resolved. Like I said, I don't know if that's legal, but that's what I would like to see as a citizen and as a commissioner. Thank you.
I went to I'll let you speak in a minute, Mike. I went to the homeowners meeting back during, I don't know, it might have been February, March, I think it was March, the end of March or something like that when I went to it. And one of the reasons I asked for the permits to be stopped is, and if I'm not mistaken, and the homeowner association can tell me this or not, did they vote to do that? Did the homeowner authority vote to do that, the homeowners? So that's where it kind of irks me that the homeowners, who's supposed to be don't you have a certain amount of votes above that's supposed to be, and that didn't happen. So that's the reason I asked for the permits to be stopped, and I still think we need to keep it stopped till they can change that board, which I think then you can do it again, or have them vote again, and have them vote and see what the vote is now with the neighbors. I'm not in favor of cutting any tree down that doesn't need to be cut down, believe me. I got some in my yard, and somebody would like me to cut them down, but I wouldn't. But I think what's going to have to happen, you're going to have to deal with them, but I think we got to deal with them too at certain points. And I know Scott's a homeowners, you still a homeowners president?
I am.
Well, you asked him for double trouble.
I'm not familiar with I've been an HOA president for probably almost 15 years. We don't conduct business like that.
That's
My point would be, if I may, we have this, we rescinded the permit, and the HOA attorney has written this letter and told us we better reinstate them. I'm not inclined to do that, and I think we're done.
all right. I'm under the same thing. I do believe that if you go back and maybe you send them a letter again through whoever your board and say we'd like to revote and it's got to be a majority, which I don't think you'd get a majority now, I don't believe. Not after all that I've heard and the letters I've got. I try to go through them all, but I've been reading and listening to them since back when I was at y'all's. Got a little heated that night. Kind of felt like at home. So I think that's the way to go about it. Try that, and we can help hold those, Rob, Mike, I don't know, can we hold those permits and not
I looked to the city attorney on that.
Yeah.
We don't want to do them right now.
Yeah, I get that. I would suggest that we put some kind of time limit on it. I mean, the last time we we did this, nothing happened. If we had a 30-day or 60-day, we're gonna hold them to give them the opportunity. I think that might be
Yeah.
helpful.
But here's another thing. Here's another deal. It's your neighborhood. It's your area, your neighborhood, your suburban place that I think that you should have the word for it. And that's what it is. There's supposed to be a vote when you do things, and whoever wins the vote. But
Mayor,
they don't.
I think they have a HOA meeting yearly in November, I thought. So they can't, as part of their process, they have to
I
get
know.
a quorum, have a meeting.
But I think
so
I think we need to send a letter, as Commissioner Kennedy said we're not gonna
Until
reissue
after
those
November.
permits till it's gone back to the board and re-voted. And I feel bad when somebody says that we're not part of it. We are part of it too. Somewhere down the line, that might have been something that happened that we didn't. I was here when we approved Westmere. I was here. So, but I don't know if I remember everything, that was back then, but I was here. But, I think that's what I personally want to do, and we'll see in just a minute if that carries through to the rest of them. So, Mike, I don't know if you need to make any comments. I think what we're going to do is we're going to make a motion.
Just give me direction. I have a letter
I'm gonna
from an
let him
attorney saying.
Put it out in legal terms, and then
Yeah.
we'll say it.
So I guess what I'm hearing is we would hold off on issuance of the permits until sometime after the HOA meeting in November?
Yes. Yes.
Giving them time to resolve, hopefully internally resolve these issues before,
Right,
because basically they're the ones that have to resolve the issue, correct?
right.
What you're saying is that
So-
regarding our legal aspect, it's up to the HOA.
The
Correct.
residents in the HOA,
The residents
yes.
in the HOA, so now we're giving them time to hopefully resolve the issue. You only have one meeting a year?
No. That's the election. That's the election.
Yeah, it's their chance to get rid of the board and get it.
We don't say that.
I don't want to say it that way, but we're giving you hopefully ample time to resolve the issue internally, where then you would not need the city to be
But-
involved except for whatever permits if trees are to come down. Which trees?
And you're,
Because you're acknowledging some trees may have to come down. Am I not finding that?
Have we received a final?
Are you saying no, yes? Well, that's something you'll deal internally with.
all right. Yet,
I would ignore it.
yet,
You have
all right. When we speak, we've got to come up to the mic, but that's,
That's what, we're just basically giving them time internally to try to resolve this issue.
well, and the other
Amicably.
point is, we did some of that. I can tell you a fact. We put trees in places they shouldn't have been back in those days. And if you still see, if you go out where some of these subdivisions, they put these trees out on the front of subdivisions, and then they gotta whack the top out of them because they got the power lines running through there. So that's another thing we're working on, is changing the top trees that we're gonna be putting out in front of the places. Just a second. And so we're gonna try to change that rule also, where we can make sure we don't end up with that problem again. And you have to fill a form out too, okay?
I will, Rusty, I will.
Okay,
I
all
just
right.
sorry, I came in late, I was at another board meeting. Like you, I've served as board president. I've actually served as board president at Westmere. But one of the most important things that I would just like to bring up from a planning standpoint is the fact that back in the day, I worked for the developer and the builder that built Westmere.
Or about it?
So, yes, and then I worked for Lennar, who finished it out, okay? Liked it so much, decided to live there myself. And I have great neighbors. But the thing that I think is important is, from a builder standpoint, it was specified to us what we had to plant. It was specified to us.
Well, I know, I just said that.
Yeah, that we had to put these trees in order to get a CO. So what I just find very interesting is why all of a sudden, after 30 years, are we just arbitrarily saying, with no documentation, our docs do not, you can appreciate this.
Yeah.
A lot of people make managing an HOA a whole lot more difficult than it needs to be. It's very simple. You represent your residents to your docs, period. Sometimes you have to do things they don't like. But at the end of the day, our documents state nothing about the legality of them being able to ask you for permits to take down these trees. It says nothing. They are going totally rogue on this, and yet it was, back in the day, it was our job to put these trees in from specifications from the city, which by all means is what makes Ocoee beautiful. So thank you for understanding that. I just really kind of wanted to make that point. They are there for a reason. It was told for us to put them there. It can't just be arbitrarily a board of 5 when there's a total of 9 who have the control, want their trees out of the yard, that we're in this position, and that truly is the reason. So give us the time. I appreciate that very
I think
much.
you'll find that to be true about us.
My name is Penny Baum. I live at 228.
Make sure you fill the
Poster-
form out.
I promise I will,
Okay.
sir.
All right.
Thank you so much.
All right, I'm gonna bring it up here and we're gonna make a motion. We need to make it.
So I think the motion, if I'm hearing it, would be to direct city staff to respond to the HOA attorney letter, indicate that we will continue to hold the permit until the end of November to allow the residents in the HOA to work out something that's satisfactory to all parties.
There.
Yeah.
You make that motion, here, second?
I'll second that.
Seconded by Commissioner Scott Kennedy.
Mayor, I need to abstain from the vote
Yes, sir.
because
Yes, sir.
the Board of Directors of the HOA has made the assertion that I stand to gain a direct
Yeah.
financial benefit by not cutting my trees down. So it's a conflict of interest. I'll abstain from the vote.
All right, just fill that, you got the form, no problem. All right. Commissioner Hart, you okay? Everybody, let's vote.
Can we vote on it? It's getting a little tight up here. Anyone else knows that?
It's with everybody voting yes except Commissioner Firstner abstaining, so yes, it passed. We won't pass those permits until after November, and then we might not then. Thank you for coming out. It's always good to see citizens come to our meetings. All righty?
You're welcome to stay.
You can stay.
We always like to invite.
All right, that's all the public comments slips I have, so I'm gonna move on to consent agenda.
I'll make the motion to, I think I had one question. Hold on, I'm sorry.
Ooh,
Let me just get to the, I don't. Can I just pull 8 for just a minor
know what you're
discussion?
gonna ask.
Well, I just want, I probably ask this every time we have one. Should I ask it before? Because then, I have no problem with the agenda, consent agenda itself, but
well, let's vote on it, then you can make your
what's
comment.
Make a
removing
motion,
item,
discussion.
motion to approve removing item 8.
Motion made to approve consent agenda with not removing, but just holding
Yeah.
8. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Hart. Any more comments? Not, let's vote.
Okay, let me get to 8 here.
Motion carries unanimously. Okay, now 8.
Hey, I do this seems every budget year, Rob's probably gonna get tired of it, that I always hate when we put ourselves at such a, I know we tend to go lower than.
No, we
And,
tend to go higher.
no, the millage rate, item 8 would set us at, the highest would be 4.950, is that right?
Yep.
But, and we tend to always go a little lower, but I always hate cornering ourselves into that. Going,
You mean between that and the rollback rate?
well, we tend to try to go, we're right now at 4.95,
Yeah.
and we want to set it at 4.95.
Yeah, I think we did that last year, Commissioner. I think we lowered it down to where we intended to be at the end of the budget process. You may recall, like the 4 or 5 years previous to that, we were using a number of around 6.5 to give us all kinds of leeway.
Yeah.
And then everybody would get their preliminary trim bills, and they would come in shaking them at you, saying, "This is ridiculous. How could you do this to me?" Not really understanding that was just to give us some flexibility. Then we would come out to where we originally thought we would, and everybody's taxes would go back down and they'd be happy. So it seemed like there was some dissatisfaction back then doing a preliminary rate of much
Citizens
higher
at
than where we
6.5.
really thought we were going to end up.
I always like to just go on the record that I hate cornering us into that lower
I
amount.
mean,
I mean, it's,
Yeah, I mean, if there is something that we identify, typically what we've done, I don't think we did one this year, but we can do a mid-year too. If we identify something in the first few months of the year that, we didn't consider, or it's something that you want to do that maybe you didn't think you wanted to do, we can always do a budget amendment at pretty much any time also. We've not identified anything right now, any big ticket items. I mean, even if we buy property or something, and by the time we identify it and we negotiate, if we need to come back and do some type of budget amendment, we can always do that too.
With this on here, you already got it set.
No, what we're saying, with the tentative, if you set that at 4.95 this evening, you really can't go above that.
No, we can't.
No,
Right.
not with without the supermajority
Right, and every time we've
vote.
set it higher than that, everybody thought we were raising the rates, so they would come in and say,
I
you
know.
need to lower our rates.
So
And
what is
we're,
that?
and
It's
then
gonna
we're in
be-
the newspaper saying we're going to go up to 6 point something. Yes, I realize that part.
Yeah.
It's not, but have you, the budget you have done at this point, the tentative
Yes.
budget that you have set, is it at 4.9?
We're confident 4.95 will be sufficient.
To meet
Well,
the
yes,
needs?
Don't say that's gonna be permanent, though.
No, we.
Might go below.
I know, you all, we do all love to go below, I understand that. I just get very concerned when we are that tight. You don't think we're that tight?
No,
Okay.
I think you're good.
All right, you need to
Okay,
make a motion.
I'll make the motion to approve item 8.
Commissioner Wilson made a motion to approve item 8 for the tentative millage. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Commissioner Hart. No more comments, let's vote.
I think I do that every year.
Motion carries unanimously. Okay. All right, down to no first reading, no second reading, we're down to public hearing. Second reading and public hearing of a resolution creating the Ocoee Northwest Brownfield area. Developed Services Director Rumor.
Yep. Mayor, thank you. Per statute, in order to designate a area as a brownfield, you have to hold 2 public hearings and a reading of the resolution. This is the second such reading of the resolution to create the Northwest Brownfield area. This brownfield area, which is not similar to the previous one, only includes 2 parcels, 2 properties, which would be the parcel to the, that you see crosshatched to the north would be the Chevron property, and then the property to the south is the city of Ocoee land we affectionately call the Rogers property. We are facilitating this brownfield overlay as a way to help the Ocoee Regional Sports Park development. It doesn't affect any property owner who was not aware or requested to be included, which is the city and Chevron, and recommend approval and for the clerk and the mayor to sign and us to finish out the rest of the statutory requirements to designate this as a brownfield. This just provides a toolbox mainly for development to receive incentives and grants. It does not designate the land as a brownfield. There's a brownfield in the area. By statute, you can create this overlay. It just provides opportunities since the properties are all in a proximity to a brownfield site. And it has no effect outside of the brownfield overlay. Thank you.
All right,
I'm sorry.
no more discussion, we need a motion.
Let me go ahead and read the
Yeah,
title.
read that first. We gotta have public hearing.
Yeah, this is a resolution of the City of Ocoee, Florida, creating the Ocoee Northwest Brownfield area for the purpose of environmental remediation, rehabilitation, and economic redevelopment. Authorizing the city clerk to notify the Florida Department of Environmental Protection of said designation as required and providing for an effective date.
All right, I'll open the public hearing. Anybody in the public have any comments on item 13 for the second reading and public hearing of the resolution creating the Ocoee Northwest Brownfield area? All right, closing the public hearing, bringing it up to the dais. Do I have a,
One question,
okay?
please, one question. Mike, that does, I see that excludes those properties, is that unincorporated Orange County? Those properties that are in the middle there, around it?
Yes, it does exclude that. They would have to be a party to this, and for the effectiveness of the development and moving forward in a timely manner, we just chose to do the 2 property owners, us and Chevron, who requested this to be done.
Those properties are in the city though, Mike, correct?
They are not in
They're
the
not?
city.
Okay.
They are not.
None of them are, they're all unincorporated.
Not presently,
Great.
they would have to annex,
Okay.
yes.
All right,
You make the motion.
I'll make the motion to approve.
All right, Commissioner Wilson makes a motion for item 13 of the resolution. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Fursten. Any more comments? No more comments? Let's vote. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. All right. We're down to regular agenda, item 14, review and request direction on procurement of city attorney services. Assistant City Manager Shadrick.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the commission. Craig Shadrick, Assistant City Manager. As directed by the City Commission, we put out a solicitation in the form of a request for letters of interest for city attorney services, and we received back 2 qualified responses from the law firms of Fishback Dominic, as well as Shepherd Smith, Kohlmeyer, and Hand. And we are here tonight to receive direction. You have multiple options on how you might proceed, given the small number of qualified respondents received. And you have a number of options for how you could proceed. And we're here to request direction from the commission on what you'd like to do.
Are you going to give us those options?
You could call both respondents in and have them do a formal interview for you. You could hire one of them tonight. You could mix and match however you would like.
Are any of them here?
Fishback.
See one group. Anybody else? You with the other groups? You would, with them? Yeah, okay.
I think we should just go ahead, I think,
I'm ready.
well, with the way we did in the last was that both came in, the other, and so the other party's not here to make any comments. I think we should give them both an opportunity.
Did they tell them they could come tonight?
Because this was not a formal invitation to
Yeah.
come and present, no, we did not tell either respondent to
Yeah.
come tonight. It was placed on the agenda for discussion and direction by the commission.
All right. She wants to wait till
I
they
just,
give them
I
both
think
chances
we
if they
both,
want it.
since the other party's not here, I think it's only, would only be
Anybody
appropriate.
else? I'm,
Yeah, that makes sense.
all right, that's, well,
Oh,
that's
it's 2 of us.
consensus.
Anybody here?
Huh?
Yeah, I think that's fair, let them come present.
Is that okay with next meeting?
Do you want to do that at the city commission meeting or a half hour before the city
did it.
commission meeting or?
I'm sure Aegis loves this. I thought we did it like a half an hour before the meeting.
The last time we did,
The
yes.
last time it was, we had more applicants.
Yeah, okay. Half hour
Is
before the
that-
next meeting.
Does that work with everyone's schedule?
I'd
When
like
we-
a little- I'd like a
we
little
say
buffer.
5:30?
Can we say
45?
5 or something, 5:15, something?
Well, it's,
5 o'clock?
I'm retired, I can come.
5 o'clock?
I'll make it work.
That's good.
It's good for me.
5 o'clock, okay.
5 o'clock. Is that 5
That
o'clock?
works.
On August,
All right, August the what?
August 1st?
August
Is that
1st.
good? Is that good?
So
Rick?
5 o'clock, we'll bring in both firms, you'll interview both firms, and then at that city commission meeting,
Vote.
you'll vote to make a decision.
Yes, sir.
I mean, thank you for coming tonight, but
Yeah, appreciate it, yeah. Everybody got copies
does that work in their
Yes.
schedule?
that work? Yeah. All right. Approval of letter of intent between GPK OLET LLC and City of Ocoee for 6.981 acres of city-owned land. Development Services Director Rumer.
Yes, in your packet is a letter of intent to purchase city property, which is located on the northwest corner of the intersection of Fuller's Crossroad and Ocoee Apopka Road.
Sorry.
This is a parcel which is located in the Ocoee Crown Point PUD. It is a tract that is zoned commercial. It is just under 7 acres, 6.9 acres. As I said, the tract in the PUD is zoned for commercial. The city is under contract on the land on directly to the east of that. There's also parcels in the Crown Point PUD the city owned on the south side of Fuller's Crossroad that is not a part of this project. The land on the northeast corner, the 17 acres, is under contract by GPK, the same company that provided the letter of intent for the parcel just to the west side. The contract, the LOI specifics are there, and GPK is looking to provide on this site, they are specifically calling out, so the site plan, a hotel. And a benefit of this parcel is that it can provide stormwater retention, not only for the site plan they have with the hotel and associated parking, but it will also alleviate a drainage issue on the 17 acres on the east side that was caused by a timing issue of going under contract and the road improvements with Fuller's Cross Road and Ocoee Pop Road. That segment of road is a rural section which has swales on the side. There is not a dedicated retention pond. And while they were facilitating their site plan, which this was discussed in an earlier action item, we ended up taking more right-of-way, about an acre from the land that we have under contract. So this will provide stormwater for all of their developments, and they are proposing a hotel with a elevation like this, and this comes on the heels of the success we expect to find ourselves with the Ocoee Regional Sports Park, and this would complement that. And so staff has reviewed the letter of intent. We have worked with this company. They are at a final site plan on the parcel to the northeast and ready to move forward. So staff supports the letter of intent and working with GPK. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. All right.
No. No.
Okay, anybody from the group want to make any comments? You don't have to. You want to? Okay. All right, no, all right. Okay, commissioners, need a motion here.
I'll make a motion to approve the letter of intent.
Second?
I'll second it.
Second. Motion made by Commissioner Kennedy, seconded by, was it Commissioner Hart? Commissioner Hart, any more discussion? Let's vote. Motion carries unanimously. All righty. Thank you. Comments from commissioners. And before we do that, I got one little thing I need to read off and tell you and ask you before we go any further. I want to discuss the elevating of Joel Keller to the permanent position for Planning and Zoning Commission opening. We have all discussed the desire for Joel to hold a permanent position. Instead of bringing back names of which he would be listed by most, if not all of us, why not just elevate him now and each bring two names to fill his alternate spot? This was confusion when we had this on the past, whether the alternate moves up. I understand planning is bringing forward an ordinance soon that will clear up the issue. I think we discussed it 2 or 3 ways that day, but I think that's a good thing to do. Is that okay with everybody? Can I get a motion on that?
I'll make a motion to elevate Joel Keller to the permanent position on P&Z and to find alternates.
All right, motion made by Commissioner Kennedy for that. Do I hear a second? Seconded by Commissioner Wilson. Any more comments? Let's vote.
I thought we were gonna have an ordinance sooner. I thought we discussed that at
Motion
one
carries
point.
unanimously.
We are bringing forward an ordinance, but we're doing our research to be sure we bring the ordinance that you guys expect and not the one that I expect. So there is an ordinance coming forward.
Because we never addressed that, did we? And-
Yeah, the confusion was, can the alternate be eligible to be moved up? Because they serve a seat, but they are eligible.
Okay,
So
yeah, we've been,
you'll be bringing 2 names for someone to fill the alternate seat.
You can't keep doing that.
All right, now it's time for commissioner comments. Thank you, sir. Commissioner Hart?
Okay, thank you, Mayor, and I thank you once again for our city staff for doing a fantastic job getting our city council meeting together. Did a great job. I did a few things over the last month, going around, learning, experiencing, meeting citizens. Had a great time. I want to give a big shout out to the Charter Review Committee. I had a chance to sit in one of the meetings. Fantastic group of citizens, focused. We have some really talented people in this city, and they have a wealth of knowledge and potential. And I encourage, once again, our citizens to get more involved in your local government. The local government matters. But I was so impressed by the meeting, the details. They were so into what they were doing, and I'm looking for great results to help tighten up our charter moving forward. I missed out on the reschedule for the skateboard opening park. Heard it had a great time. My wife went in my place, and you know me, I thought I was 15 again. Maybe I could pull the skateboard out and do a few things. But you know, once you get your AARP card, your bones don't heal as fast. So I thank God I listened to my wife and didn't get out there and hurt myself. But great to see the young people out having a good time. Got a few concerns. Some of the citizens concerned about trash cans being left out on the road. Talk with Public Works. They're jumping on it, going to take care of that right away to make sure that everything's done in decency and order. And once again, went to the basketball game between the police and the Public Works. That was, the park department. That was a lot of fun. The best line of the day was one of our police officers said, "Hey, I'm here for the cardio, nothing else." But it was fun to watch the kids. I think the police officers had more fun than the kids did, and I know I had a great time. But it's just great to see our citizens out having a good time. And when I think of Ocoee, I think of one word. It has 4 letters, HOME. It's home. And I want Ocoee to be home to all our citizens. I know you might have grew up in New York or you might have grew up in another country, but you're here, and this is home. And we want to make sure we do all we can to protect our home. And I want everything that you need, I want it to be here in Ocoee. So let's make sure we watch out for each other. We are our neighbor's keeper. We are our brother's watcher. Look out for one another. Have a safe and happy summer. Watch that heat. It's very hot out there. I was out there trying to play golf a couple of times. Finally got it over the lake. That was great. But keep the eye on the heat. We don't want anybody getting sick. So God bless you. Look forward to seeing you next time.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Firstner.
Well, I've been gone for the entire month of June, and I'm really happy to be back. I'm excited to see that we're working on a new fire station, a new police training center with a public-private partnership. I'm really happy to see us getting involved in more of those 3P events. That's going to really help move the city along. I'm also happy about the 4.95 millage rate in the trim. It shows that we're serious. We're either going to keep the same millage rate or we're going to go below that and lower taxes for the citizens. So that makes me very happy. Other than that, I'm glad to be back. Thank you.
Commissioner Wilson.
Thank you. Well, Rich, we missed you for the whole month, but I hope you had fun. Question, or should I say, Rusty, are you gonna bring up, we had a workshop, are you bringing up the issue that we were gonna?
You can do it. Just cut that.
Well, I don't wanna take away.
No, it was good.
We had a workshop today at 3 o'clock, and we came up with some issues regarding our downtown master plan and what's happening with downtown. And we came up with some ideas, and we've asked Rob next meeting to come back with an agenda item regarding the topics that we discussed, anywhere from sewer to planning downtown, the Gettings property, which a lot of you may not know what it is, but it's the recording studio down along the lake that will become ours, hopefully in the next year and a half somewhere. It's ours, but officially, how's that? And with new city hall going to be taken down first part of August. Am I right? I'm thinking month, yes, first part of August, starting to forget what month it is. That there was some things that we discussed, and so we're asking Rob to bring it back to us as an agenda item at our next meeting, so we can plan. So I don't know if that was something that we had to get consensus from, because we couldn't do it during the workshop.
No, it was the other 2 items.
What was the other 2 items? Did I miss something?
One was about the lease stuff, and the other one was about.
Oh, about property,
Yeah.
leasing properties for
Yeah.
parking. So again, there was a lot of discussion regarding parking. Just to let you know, when we have workshops, they're open to the public. We'd love to have you come if anyone wants to come. So you can find out more, but if that's, do we need a consensus to say, put that on the agenda?
No action needed. Rob can put it on the agenda.
Without- Okay.
Yeah, no action's needed.
Okay, and the one thing I wanted to bring up, and I guess this is where I can get the answer. I know every year we're given a $10,000 discretionary fund. My discretionary fund has normally, as this term, has been designated to the police department for safety devices, whether it's a traffic signs, which I know you all love out on Orlando Avenue. There's one that blinks when you go over 30 miles an hour. And we have those throughout the city, and I have designated the money that I have to go to the police department for the safety issues of our residents. But I know that next month I am going to the Florida League of Cities conference, which is here in Orlando. And I don't know which budget we take it out of. Do I have to get the, Rob, the commission to approve it? Because whether it's travel, because normally you're not allowed.
Yeah, it would
within-
come out of the commission travel budget.
It can't come out?
Well, it can come out of that. If you have your district funds, you could come out of that too. I think more of the issue was, I don't think the flexibility was, you have a lot of flexibility in your travel plan, but I think there was one thing typically you got a consensus of the commission for was if you needed a room for the night.
To use it as trap. So I'm asking the commission whether, if, depending on what my discretionary funds look like by the time the police department finishes, if there's not anything left, I'd like to request that that come, the two nights that I have designated come out of the travel fund. I know it's local, but the only way it can be overridden is by the commission, correct?
Correct.
Well,
And I'll just tell you, I know it's local, but there's issues that come up in the morning, and I've had to leave, when we were here, I've had to leave at 5:30 in the morning to get to the Marriott in time for the breakfast event that we have. And I am on the Florida League of Cities Board, I'm also on the Tri-Counties League of Cities Board. So again, I prefer to be at as many functions that we have during that time as possible. So I'm asking that if the discretionary funds are not adequate, I'd like it to come out of my travel funds.
supposed to come out of the travel fund.
But I have to get commission approval on that,
Well,
and
we
then it's
fixed and
local.
approved it.
Okay, that's,
Okay,
I like that, I like that.
yeah, I was gonna say, Commissioner, if you needed me, I could go in with you on the,
I put in for a run because I'm having surgery the 25th. I'm replacing my knee, but I'm gonna be at the convention on the 12th of August. So
The 10th, 11th, and
I'm
12th
gonna
is when
stay there
we,
where I don't have to walk or move around too much, but I'm not gonna be laying up. I'm gonna show up.
well, but the thing is, it's just easier when we
Yeah.
have access to the facility versus,
Yeah, no, that's good.
I did it many
So
times.
do we need to make a motion to do that?
Yeah, so
Ron?
consensus to,
Consensus is, Ed,
Are
guys
you
okay?
staying there?
Yeah.
yeah, I was gonna say, if you,
No,
if you
it's
needed
local,
to.
you can't, you gotta get permission approval in order to.
Yeah, I
take
think
it out of travel.
we've used the consensus before, and every year, I think when they have it in Orlando, we do that. It's just the way that, like I said, the travel policy was written for the commission. The employee's travel policy gives me the authority to overrule it. The commission travel policy, if it's within 25 miles, doesn't give anybody the opportunity to
Yeah, okay.
approve that. So the commission as a whole can always approve those.
Well, before, have you talked yet?
Nope.
All right, and I want to say something about what you said, but go ahead, then I'll say mine.
I only have one
Are we
thing.
good with mine? Okay.
Yeah,
we're
we
good
said
with-
yeah,
Oh, okay,
and mine.
I must be missing something, but I'm asking, is anyone else going?
I'm going. Anybody?
You going to Florida League of Cities annual conference?
Yes, but I'm not staying there.
Okay.
Mm.
Not
That's the
that-
one in
I
August?
don't like to, but I got
I'm
to.
going, but I'm traveling back and forth.
Oh, okay.
All right. All right, Scott.
Okay.
I mean, Commissioner Kennedy, sorry.
It's all right. I only have one thing I wanted to bring everyone's attention to, item 4 on the agenda, which we passed tonight. I wanted to thank staff and let everyone in District 1 know
Yeah.
that the commission has moved forward and approved a site for the permanent fire station in District 1. So,
Sure the firefighters know what's up.
very, very happy about that.
Quick comment, Commissioner, we just got a confirmation letter from the consortium that has authorized that, and they're also putting $400,000 towards the station too, on top of,
Thank you.
yes. So there was money that they were gonna have to contribute to the park, and when we asked them to
Yes. Oh,
not
yeah.
do the park, they committed that money to the fire station,
Yeah.
so that was good news.
So that's great. Staff, it's one of the things as many people know, I have a list of 50 things. It's one of the things I put in my top 5 and met with staff, and they responded quickly, and they pushed this through, and I'm very thankful. So thank you. That's it.
All right. I don't have a lot of stuff to talk about tonight, except just one. I wanted to ask you about that. I could wait till the budget time, but it bugged me until then. I wouldn't say it, but I'm gonna say to you, putting all that money, you're one of the ones that we voted to quit having people come up asking for money for all the other things. Now you're giving all yours to one. But the reason we put it to that thing was having all the people come up here and ask for Little League, cheerleaders and all that stuff. So you're saying you're not gonna ever do.
I didn't say I was ever gonna do it, I'm saying this
But I mean,
time,
that's where you, because that other is in the budget for the,
Well-
in their departments. But you're taking the money out of what we set it up for, and you're one of the ones that wanted it. where they didn't come up here and ask for it. So
That's true.
we'll go over during
I
discussion.
really don't like folks coming up asking us for
Well,
money anyways. I never liked that.
That's
We've had
part
that
of the
to where.
citizens in the city, though. I mean,
But
that's what it is.
and my answer was,
Yeah.
I'm giving it back to the citizens in the district to make sure that we have an issue with speed. And this is a way they could benefit with these speed
Yeah, but I'm
detection
just saying,
devices.
that would come out of their budget anyway. That's part of the,
Well,
putting in for things.
These are $5,000 each, and I think they have
Yeah.
an effect on the folks
Oh,
as they're
I'm
driving
not
our.
disputing that, I'm just
So-
saying it can come out of their budget. All right, we'll talk about
That's,
that.
I know, that's why it's a discretionary fund.
Yeah,
I can just make this discretion. Use my discretion, I'll shut off now.
ooh-wee, okay. Once again, I want to thank the citizens from Westmere for coming out tonight. We've been getting a lot of letters and emails from people. Laura, did you send one? No, okay. But I think it's a good way to discuss things, and we've got it in the right order, I think, and let's see if the citizens, and we can go and get something happen in the right way. We do need to look at our ordinance about the trees in the front of, when we put trees in, and what kind of trees they are that grow up and cause the problems we got. We've been doing that we did that for a long time, so we gotta change that. There was something else too. School starts back, what, August the 2nd? Anybody know?
I hope not that early.
Huh? August the 10th? All right, we got to make sure all our areas where the school signs are working and everything and all are working before school starts back ahead of time, make sure those flashing lights.
But all my speed signs are working.
Oh,
Yeah, Mayor,
that's
just a quick note on that. State law changed for the speed cameras in school zones
I
too.
know.
So we're actually, PD's getting with the vendor that we have right now. One of our worst ones that I've noticed is the speed zone on Clark Road. So we're looking into getting them north and southbound for the school zone on Clark Road. So those are legal now. You can,
Oh, yeah, I see, yeah.
can do.
I also seen
speed
where
enforcement by
some
camera.
citizens said a thing about, there's different speed signs on White Road. There's one down parked on Slinker Harbor that says 15 miles an hour, then the city one says 30,
One that says 25, and then,
25 or 15. There's a
And then-
15 sitting there.
oh, now there's a 15?
Yeah, if there's a 15, that was probably somebody who put that up. but
It's
we
out there
can't-
every day.
On a public road, I don't think
Yeah.
we can enforce 15 miles
Yeah,
per
I
hour.
know. But thank you again. We'll meet back on August the 1st. And you guys be here, and we'll notify the other guys if they want to be here too. So thanks again for coming tonight, Steve. Thank you.